And thanks everybody for tuning in to the Influential Women podcast. I have the amazing, beautiful, talented Miss Rochelle Wristen in the house.
Well, thank you. With the equally amazing, wonderful, and talented.
Well, you're squeeze. I just kind of like to call her Big Red because who else can have the most amazing red hair, beautiful smile, and you like walk into a room and you're like, I'm here. Do you feel that way?
I appreciate you saying that. You know, sometimes I'm just happy to not be at work or, you know, in a room with people, actually. After COVID, it's nice to be able to walk into a room and interact with human beings. I think that is exciting these days in and of itself.
Absolutely. Well, Miss Rochelle, tell me a little bit about you.
Oh, my goodness. Pueblo girl. Born in...
What high school?
Oh, my gosh. Bulldog. Centennial. Go Big Red. And yes, we did have the bell my junior and senior year. So
there you go. And this is the last year for the bell game. Did you hear that?
I did not hear
that. And it's tomorrow night.
Why?
Well, because of the schools and the expansion and all of that, I hear this could be the last bell game.
That makes no sense.
I agree. So hopefully District 60, Pueblo City Schools, you can figure that out.
Save the bell game.
So anyways, you're a Bulldog.
I am. And where did you?
I'm a county girl.
All right. County High. Mm-hmm. Go Hornets.
I'm a Hornet.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Well, good. No, you know, born and raised here, done a lot of different things. Actually dabbled in the horse business for a while. I used to show horses and rodeo. And my goal as I was growing up was to get out of Pueblo, ironically, and ended up in Atlanta, Georgia, and New Orleans and Denver, and ultimately back here in Pueblo.
Oh, I love it. So horses, did you do barrel racing?
I did.
Did you put on the Wrangler jeans? Or I remember back then, I would wear the pants that would have show your cute butt cheeks. I could see you wearing those ones. You know which ones I'm talking about. I don't know what the brand is, but.
Well, no, Wrangler was definitely, the big brand. With rodeo, it still is today. But it was funny because I'm a city girl, always have been a city girl. And when I was 12, we had an opportunity to buy a pony and for $60. And if we wanted the saddle, then it was $100 for the package. And we thought, wow, that's pretty good. A little pricey, but okay. And little did we know it was purely the tip of the iceberg. But my parents were incredibly supportive because they weren't in the industry. We had trainers. My brother also rode for a little bit. So we went to the trainer. We learned how to ride. Both started out in 4-H, starting that route. I ultimately ended up more in rodeo than in 4-H, although I did some equestrian, some quarter horse showing. But it was really fun. I had the pleasure of being the Colorado High School Rodeo Queen my senior year.
Quit it. I love it.
So talking about attire, it was pretty awesome. My mother is just an amazing seamstress. And so she made the clothes that I wore. So it was very unique, which was fun. And it was really a neat experience to do that. From there, I'm going to go sidebar for my mom here just a second. A good friend of ours became Miss Rodeo Colorado, and we made all of her clothes when she competed for Miss Rodeo America, and she ultimately won.
Oh, you're kidding. Well, those clothes are expensive.
Well, they are.
They
a lot
add
of
up.
Beading, and they get very intricate. And now it's all into the leather, and it's a whole new level right now with the attire. But every year, Miss Rodeo America, Miss Rodeo Australia change places. So I had the opportunity to accompany my friend to Australia when she went, and we loaded up our suitcases. She had Wrangler jeans because Wrangler, being the sponsor, donated a lot of Wranglers, and then I had clothes that my mother had made. And it funded a lot of our trip over there, which was fun. It just opens the door to some wonderful opportunities.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, cheers to you, first of all. How did we not even take a sip when we first got here?
Apparently, we were distracted.
We were slackers. But you are amazing, and I'm so excited to get to learn your story today. You've been a very admirable woman in this community, and, I've known you on on so many levels, but I'm just really excited to get to know you today.
I think that there's a lot of, there's so much untapped potential, I think, in Pueblo. It's interesting. Many times you have to leave Pueblo and be successful and then come back and they think that you're brilliant, right? So having, when I was gone, my first job took me to a Miller beer distributor in Atlanta. So I did young adult marketing and right out of college. So what a dream job for anyone out of college, right? And so from there, I actually got into children's charities. I worked for Special Olympics in Georgia and in Louisiana. Some great opportunities. I worked for Starlight Children's Foundation. Briefly for a museum in Atlanta called the Apex Museum. And Hank Aaron's wife, Billy, was the chair. And so we had an opportunity to do a fundraising event at their house in Southeast Atlanta. And it was like walking into a museum. It was so amazing because, he received a lot of hate letters as he was nearing Babe Ruth's record, right? And what they did is they framed all of those and then next to it put a picture of his accomplishment. And it was just being a part of history, just reading through that was so amazing. Just
how neat.
A lot of opportunities. You don't make a lot of money in nonprofit, but some of the opportunities that come your way are pretty phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Miss Rochelle, what is your why?
My why? A lot of whys. I enjoy getting up every morning and having a purpose. Right now, I'm with Primrose Retirement Community, and so I get to go to work every day with other people's grandparents and parents and aunts and uncles. And I'll tell you what a wealth of history and fun and unique perspective on life. Just to take it back to this last election, and we know how contentious that was. It was so interesting to sit there and listen to our residents who were both Republicans, Democrats, and independent, and listening to them have a calm dialogue. At the end of the day, agree to disagree. But just to be able to have a conversation about their difference in opinions, the difference in the candidates versus the volatility, the polarization that you see out in the world today.
They were just having a chit chat. I love that.
And it's about respect. And I don't think that there's a lot of that in the world these days. Social media, just everybody has a voice, but people only want others to hear their voice. Not necessarily that they want to take time to listen to others. There's a lot that you can learn from this generation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love them. I mean, I spend as much time with my grandparents as I can, and I mean, they're amazing humans.
They are.
What are 3 words that best describe you?
Oh my goodness. 3 words. I would say vivacious. I would say fun and philanthropic.
Ooh. I could
How
say
about
that.
You? What are your 3 words?
Oh, hey, now this isn't your podcast. I don't know.
But I'm the guest. The guest gets to answer questions.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to come back to that.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I would say I am passionate. I am outgoing and caring. I don't know. Yeah. Something along those.
Well, and I love your backdrop here.
Aw, thank you.
So, interestingly, tomorrow is going to be my 11th year breast cancer free.
Oh my gosh. And so here we are in October, waiting to have you, because I know you've been through that breast cancer, that whole journey. And so talk to me a little bit about that, because I have a friend right now going through it. Tell me about your journey. And
it really changes your perspective when you hear the C word. I'm going to get emotional.
I got tissue.
Oh, yay. Okay. All right. But it does change your perspective. At the time, I was a single mother, and I have one child. He was 16, I think, at the time. And I can remember having to tell him. I told him before I even told my parents. And, you know, so I could just kind of see him glaze over as I was talking. And I was, talking about all the positive things, like, there's a lot of treatments and, we don't know what we're up against, but, it's going to be good, all that. And out of nowhere, he just says, "Are you going to die?" And that broke my heart. So October's very emotional for me, very special. I had a wonderful team of people around me, friends and family. And fortunately, but for the grace of God, came out cancer-free on the other end.
Amen.
So, but it's interesting how you look at life differently,
Going through something like that. What were some of your first signs? Like, how did you know?
It was really interesting. It was completely detected in a mammogram. It was such an early stage that you couldn't feel anything.
How old were you?
Well, it was 11 years ago, whatever that age
Okay.
was.
She's like, I'm not sharing that, but it was 11 years
It was
ago.
11 years ago.
But you didn't have any sickness at the time. It was just through
No.
like an annual mammogram.
I felt
Okay.
I felt fine. Everything was great, and it was really interesting because I had come home one day, and there was the letter. And normally it says, oh, your mammogram was fine. Come back next year, something like that. But this one said, we saw something, we'd like for you to come back for some additional imaging. And so I did. And, God has a way of just putting you kind of in the right places at the right time. And I was working at St. Mary Corwin at the time as a director of marketing. And so I took the letter. I had the opportunity to do what most of us would like to do if you got a letter like that. And I walked directly down to our mammogram and said, "What does this mean?" And actually sent it, took it to the radiologist that read it. And he said, "Well, let's look." And so he pulled it, and he said, "We're not quite sure. It might be something, it might not." But they wanted additional imaging, and it did confirm. So actually, there were 3 locations in one breast. So it wasn't just one. So had I let it go sooner, it could have been a lot worse. But so we got on the fast track, had surgery and all of that. And I feel very blessed that I was there at the time. They had just launched the Breast Center of Excellence, and the radiologists were just amazing. They were from Mayo and just world-class backgrounds.
How long did you have to go through treatment before you were cancer-free?
So because I opted for what's called a bilateral mastectomy, I did not have to go through radiation, and I did not have to go through chemo. However, the type of cancer that I had, there was an oral, I call it an oral chemo, if you will, called tamoxifen, that helped kind of block any cancer cells from developing after that.
So they went in and removed both breasts.
Yes.
Gotcha. Oh, I cannot imagine being through that journey. And did you have good support?
I did.
Because I can imagine that's the only way you get through something like that.
I did. It's amazing. You get caught up in sort of your day-to-day. And you get up, you go to work. When you're a single mom, you get up, you go to work, you do mom stuff, you put a load in the laundry, you go to bed, you wake up, you start it all over. And you're just like the hamster getting on the wheel every morning, and you're in that routine. And having this experience, having people from different churches who brought prayer shawls, and friends who brought dinners, and I never really realized the importance of that, and so going back to the philanthropic, you start now going, oh my gosh, that person is going through this. I know when I went through it, this was the best thing somebody could have done for me, And so it helps you kind of see what that person could really benefit from at that time. So
Ugh, I just still can't imagine it. I mean, I'm sure it's just. And did it ever come back, or have you been cancer free for?
knock on wood, cancer free.
Oh.
Yeah, 11 years.
Amen.
Yeah, it is.
So pink is definitely a bigger meaning to you, and you probably, I mean, every day you wake up, you just have a different outlook on life.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to women either going through breast cancer, just, they just found out the news? What advice would you give them?
Don't get on the internet. I would definitely look for a second opinion. Do what you can to become educated. If you go on the internet for something like this, it'll scare the heck out of you. It's depressing. They talk about mortality rates and how long breast cancer survivors live after diagnosis, and you need to keep that hope. You need to keep looking ahead and staying positive. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the biggest thing. Find that support network. There's great resources. There are survivor groups. Parkview's in the process of developing a cancer center. Mm-hmm. St. Mary Corwin has a cancer center, and they've got wonderful resources for anybody, even if you got your treatment somewhere else or your surgery somewhere else, to be right here in your backyard and to have that kind of access to support systems is really important.
What did you do the moment you found out you were cancer-free? How did you celebrate?
Well, let's see. So because of the type of surgery that I had and the type of cancer that I had, and it had not spread to my lymph nodes or anything like that, once the surgery was done, my breast surgeon said that we could safely say I was cancer-free. So at that point, it was just like, yes. Now, then you look to that 5 year. Everybody has that 5 year mark. If you hit the 5 year mark, that's a great mark. And so, some people choose not to really focus on the anniversary. Mm-hmm. I do, because it's like when I hit the double digits last year, said this is good. Now this is 11. I want that number to keep going up.
Absolutely. And in a couple days, you said it's going to be 12?
No, 11.
Oh, it's going to be 11.
It'll be 11 tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
what is tomorrow? October 8th?
October 8th.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to remember that.
Woohoo. Well, you've already brought the Prosecco. So,
by her request, I'm like, oh, absolutely. Prosecco is my cup of tea. So,
amen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amen. But to answer your earlier question, the really important thing is for women and men, take care of yourself. When you're due for those screenings, whether it's a mammogram, a colonoscopy, some of these things aren't fun. Mm-hmm. But my gosh, the earlier that something can be diagnosed and treatment can begin, the greater the chance of survival and really more minimal treatment in many cases, because you catch it earlier on the front end. And for women especially, I'm putting on my old hospital marketing hat now, but notoriously, women take care of ourselves the least.
Because we put everybody else first.
We've got kids, we've got husbands, because husbands don't do it. I mean, let's face it, we got to poke and prod them into, getting what they need done. We're working, we're raising kids. We've got, in many cases, we're taking care of parents. Mm-hmm. So you've got so many layers there. It is critically important for you to take care of yourself. And I have to tell you, it's funny, because my job at the time was incredibly demanding. And I had missed, I was a year past due of getting a mammogram. And
you worked at a hospital.
And I worked at a hospital, right? Go figure. And so one of my physicians said, I'm not prescribing this. I will not refill this prescription until you go get a mammogram.
Good
and
for
it
that
was,
physician.
Amen. And her name was Dr. Megan Lenhart. She's not in Pueblo anymore.
I love her.
Wasn't
was
she
my
great?
first pediatrician, but OB.
OB-GYN, yes.
She was wonderful.
She was amazing. And she said, I am not going to do this. You go get a mammogram. And it's interesting because I almost wonder if I had done my mammogram when I was supposed to, would I have been later to get that one? Where it might have allowed the cancer to grow a little bit more. We'll never know. Right. You can always second guess everything. Again, I just feel like God had a plan for me at that time, and that's what it was.
So what do you mentioned that self-care and taking care of yourself, especially as women, we tend to put ourselves on the back burner. What do you do for yourself for self-care?
Nothing beats a great massage. Just going to the spa. I call it spa love.
Spa love.
Go get spa love.
Can you get a massage, a facial, or?
All of the above.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? Even just going for a walk, unplugging. Don't call anybody on the phone when you're walking. Go for a hike.
Leave your phone at home.
Leave the phone at home, unless you're listening to music.
Yeah.
Or a podcast.
Or safety. Or a podcast. Or this podcast right now. Thanks for listening.
You bet. So, I think that's important. And in today's world, it's harder for people to unplug and to take care. However, when you look at a silver lining that is around COVID, I think that it's sort of forced people in many ways to unplug and adjust their values, which is why so many people are not going back to their corporate jobs. They're pursuing their new passions. They are, I think the first aha moment with COVID, John and I were out taking a walk because at that point you weren't around anybody unless you lived with them. You
had to get out of the house.
Exactly.
You had to get some exercise.
And you would go walking and you would see families out walking, and kids on the bicycle. And it was just kind of a throwback to when times were easier and families did so much more together. And it wasn't when's the next T-ball game and, soccer practice and everything else. And don't get me wrong, those things are fun.
But it was a nice time out. Like, this is what life is about. I mean, you couldn't have said it better. I loved, unfortunately, there was a lot of negatives that came out of COVID. But, if you can find the positives, that was, slowing down time. Right. Not having the schedules and the busy. We went for a hike every day. Like, it was just lovely to do that as a family.
Yeah, it really was. And the frustrating part for me, though, ironically, working in a retirement community during COVID. So my husband and son are home, all day, every day. I was working 10 and 12 hours, in a retirement community trying to keep everybody safe. And that was a bit of a challenge. So I'm actually going to take finally a few days off and just go get some spa love, unplug.
Good for you.
But
good for you.
I think we ought to talk a little bit about something that's near and dear to both of us and how we help kids every year at the state fair.
Oh, I was like, oh no, where are we going?
Right?
Uh-oh, what are we going to talk about, Rochelle? Because we've got a lot in common.
We do have a lot in common. We do have a lot we could talk about, but that would be an entirely different podcast.
Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite nonprofits I'm involved in is the Fair Ladies. So I'll let you are our president, so I'll let you talk a little bit more about that. So in the future, if we have more women interested, they know how to reach out to us.
Absolutely, and it's more president by default. The wonderful thing about Fair Ladies, we actually just had our 31st year. The Fair Ladies is an all-women's buying group that goes to the livestock sale every year at the Colorado State Fair. And we raise money. Our members contribute to our buying pool. And so we will buy many of the livestock that these young men and women spend all year raising and talk about rewarding.
Oh, these kids. So you walk in, we actually arrive in limos, so we kind of feel like superstars. But then we get down to earth and we see these kids with steers and pigs and lambs, and you meet these kids and they're telling you their story. They're telling you why their steer's name Haas, or whatever it is, and it's just magical to see these kids working hard.
Yes.
Like not behind a video game. And 4-H is magical. And so I never did it growing up. You said you did. I wish I had. But it's just special.
It really is. There's so much in the world right now. And again, it goes back to social media and who has a voice and who gets the attention, who's an influencer. And yet, you know what? These kids that work so hard. So when you have either a 4-H or an FFA project, it is it's work. You not only have to raise the animal properly, make sure that it has all the vet care that it gets, but you have to document it. You have to document the feed that you give them and why, if you increased or decreased something. So it's all about sort of that livestock management lifestyle. So these are a lot of mostly rural kids that are born and raised. They might live in a house and they raise chickens or something, but they could live on a ranch where there's sheep or hogs or
Which we bought the
steers.
Grand Champion chicken
We are.
this year, and I have to tell you, we get a little banner, and it's hanging up in the theater here at Wake Up. So make sure I show it to you before you leave.
Yes, we'll have to. But these are kids. I mean, they have your traditional values, just like Jenny said, hard work, respect. When you talk to them, it's yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and they look you in the eye and they can tell you about their project, their animal. Like Jenny said, why is the pig named Haas, or
Right.
whatever. But this is serious business to them, and it's what they were raised in most of the time, and it's so rewarding to see that slice of Americana that I think it gets lost in all of the hype of everything else in the world, and yet it's so important to America, from food to even managing crops on the field, food to eat, the beef, the pork, all of that. It's just important, and it's so rewarding to see 60, 70, 80 of our ladies.
Oh,
of our ladies. And it's wonderful because this buying group is, I call it loosey-goosey, because, you can be as involved as you want to be, or you can be, you could simply contribute to the buying pool. There's no meetings you have to attend.
I love it. It's seriously like a one-day thing. Like you show up. And that's what I normally do. Like, I don't get too involved, but I'm so passionate about that day. I'm so thrilled to be part of it.
Exactly.
And it's like $250 to be part of, and we combine all of our money together. And we had a pool this year of $18,000 that we got to contribute back to these youth, and it goes to a scholarship for them. And like the highest tier will go for $80,000. So it's just great. And you see a lot of other amazing community members coming together to support this group, and it's just a wonderful thing to be part of. So if you're looking for something like that, we sure hope you'll reach out to us.
Absolutely. It is fun. And the other great thing about this group is that there's no age barrier, if you will. We have young women. We have very seasoned women. I like that. I'm
very
learning,
seasoned. Yeah.
I'm learning to like that term a little bit more with every passing year. Seasoned women, and we're all there for the same purpose, and it's really fun. It's
and
just
everybody
a great group.
gets along. It's just a good time. So,
And occasionally there's prosecco.
occasionally. Well, Miss Rochelle, let's move on. You're on here because I have always found you as an influential woman. I think I first met you at Texas Roadhouse when I used to sell steaks for a living. But then it went into when I was starting into junior league, and I got to watch you as a sustainer and the amount of things that you do for our community, and just you as a leader. Just who was an influential woman in your life growing up
Oh my goodness.
or now?
Oh, when I was growing up, well, I have to say my mom.
And you're like her twin. She is the sweetest, classiest thing ever, just like you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I will share your comments with her. She's just adorable, and she does love it when people think we're sisters. She'll say, oh, my goodness.
She just needs to dye that beautiful white hair to red. She'll be good.
And no, she's rocking. She's rocking the white.
I love her white. I mean, it is so classy.
It is. But the reason I say my mom, I mean, besides the fact that I just love her dearly, and she will do anything for her family. When we were growing up, she worked. She made all of our clothes. She cooked. She managed the books for my dad's business. If my brother he was a three-sport athlete, so
TK?
TK,
Which I didn't know that forever, that Todd Kelly was your brother. So if you didn't know that Todd Kelly is Rochelle's brother, you're welcome.
Yes, and I'm TK's sister too.
Oh, well, you know what I meant.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, sorry.
Right. So, well, actually it was really funny because when we were growing up, because I was older, Todd kind of grew up being Rochelle Kelly's
little brother,
right? And so then I'm gone for 18 years. I moved back, and suddenly I'm TK's sister. So life has that full circle, that comes about. But, my mother, doing all of that, maintaining a home, and I mean, she was a crazy woman. She redecorated the house. She had this whole artsy side. But then her first career was in banking. Okay, so she had kind of that whole brain thing going on. And then so she retired and was going to be Nancy Lopez for a while. And after a year of golfing, decided that there was more to life than that and was looking for another career. She ended up out at McDonnell Douglas out here, which became Boeing.
Oh, okay.
And so she stayed with them, and when she retired at 72, because she kept working till she was 72, she was basically like a project manager. She would work directly with the Air Force colonels. I'm going to get the rank all wrong, but the high ups with the Air Force and the satellite, that they would launch. And she has no college degree. And
you go, girl. I love it.
It's just amazing. And in today's world, you wouldn't even get past the online application if you couldn't check mark that college. And that's kind of sad, because I think a lot of people who maybe don't have a college degree are overlooked when they may have all of the intelligence and the work ethic. But that's, again, topic for another podcast.
I had a feeling you were going to say your mother, because I've seen you two interact, and I could just tell there's a bond there. Like she's your person.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of expecting that answer, but I didn't really know. What's some of the best advice that she gave you or has given you?
So my mom fostered me to be a very independent person. She instilled at a very early age, don't be dependent on anyone. Make your own path. We were laughing the other day because my son just got a job up in Denver. And so, kind of letting them go, fly free. And again, my whole goal was to get out of Pueblo. And I had an internship my last semester at the Olympic Training Center up in Colorado Springs. And so I had been the Coors rep here at, then USC, now CSU Pueblo. And so I was getting close to graduation. And I was like, do I do beer, sports? And I'm thinking, you don't lose either way, right? So I had sent out, I didn't even send a resume to any place in Colorado. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I was like,
you were ready.
I was ready. And so I had an opportunity with this distributorship in Atlanta. They offered me a job, and I called Mom and I said, hey, I got a job opportunity. We're going to Atlanta on Tuesday. She's like, oh my God, because we didn't know anybody. I mean, truly. But it was a fabulous organization. It was called Better Brands. And my immediate supervisor, his name was Preston Huber, and he was a former quarterback for University of Georgia. And he just kind of took me under his wing and made sure that I got an apartment at the right area. And so he was kind of like my dad away from home. It worked out just really well. But, my mom was like, we were so scared because you were so far away. And so I think that was a bit challenging for her.
Oh, I'm sure. I couldn't imagine letting my baby girl go.
I know.
Nope, you're going to stay with me forever. You're
Right.
good.
But yet you don't want them to.
Right.
You want them to...
you want them to grow and learn and
experience
life.
Exactly. And, that's what I keep telling my son is, relationships are wonderful and get married and have babies and that's all great. But enjoy this time before you have that, because you might not always be able to walk through the door of opportunity.
Absolutely.
So get out there, see the world, try different things, meet people. I think one of the things that I am always amazed at is how chance meetings turn into such amazing opportunities.
Absolutely.
And a big component of that is having a conversation. Mm-hmm. Again, when people are on their cell phones or their iPads or they've got their earbuds in, you might be on an airplane sitting next to someone who has a fabulous opportunity that might come your way, but you have to have the conversation.
Do you think that's how you've had so many amazing opportunities come your way? Is that you're always willing to have that conversation rather than, being plugged into devices or whatnot, whatever you.
I think that's a big part of it. I have to confess that some days I spend so much time talking to people every day on the phone, in person, and then with John and coaching and football and, just the routine there. You're just constantly talking to people. And I love it. I get energy from it, but then I'm kind of like, I gotta check out. And there's some days I love to do nothing more but sit on the couch and play Words with Friends.
Right, and do nothing.
I don't want to talk to anybody.
Right. I do that too. My husband's like, you want to go get prime rib tonight? I'm like, Tonight's a night we do nothing because we've done something every night of the week. And I'm going to say
Don't talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have one of those
But
days.
it's hard. See, and you've got those adorable young kids. And so it's hard for you really to unplug because, if they're like, Mom, let's do this, you want to do that because the amount of time that you have with them is so fleeting in the big picture. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to bypass those opportunities because those are amazing, amazing memories.
I've had to learn to, unplug when I'm at home, and then if I put them to bed, then that's my time where I do the nothing and all that. What's been one of your best things being a mom?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was a single mom for most of my son's time growing up. Mm-hmm. And he was my travel buddy. I mean, it was him and I against the world. And I think that was probably more fun. When he graduated from high school, we went to Europe for 2 weeks. I had never been to Europe. And so my uncle, my mother's brother, had lived in Europe periodically. He'd been in France and Italy and Germany and all over. And so he suggested that we go to London and Paris, and then we went to Venice, Florence, and Rome. And he met us over there. And it was wonderful because he knew the train system. Mm-hmm. He knew how to get to Notre Dame or to the Eiffel Tower or, how to take the train into Venice and the hotels that were closest to the train station so we weren't hauling our luggage all over
that was me in Venice. That was me. I'm like, where's the porter? I'm going to need a porter because the first night we got there, we didn't have a porter. So going to the train station the next time, I made sure I had one because I was not that smart when I booked the hotel room. So glad you had him.
Exactly. No, he was, we wouldn't have seen as much as we did had he not been there, because Mom would be trying to figure it out. I made a fool out of myself just getting on one of the double-decker buses in London and trying to figure out the change.
Right.
And people getting irritated at me because I didn't know when we got on there. And my poor child is, embarrassed to tears, just like, Mom, just let's get off of here. So it was fun. But I think that was more fun, and just living with, just going through life with him, all the different stages from grade school and junior high and high school. He played a little soccer. He swam with the team, and then he got into music. And I'll tell you, not having a really strong father figure. I mean, outside of like my dad or TK, and then John came in a little bit later. His dad stayed in contact, but wasn't a big part of his life. And he was at East, and Andy Clementi from Martini Shot was the music teacher there, and Dex had stopped swimming. And I was really concerned, what is this kid going to get into?
You have to be involved in something, right?
And Andy asked him to try out for the Les Jongleurs, which is like the honor choir. And then there was another group, it was an a cappella group. And Dex just fell into music, and to this day, so when we moved him up to Denver, half of the truck was guitar speakers and 4 different guitars and the mic stand and all of that.
And, yeah.
But you know what, he finds solace in his music, and he's just kind of creative, and I think he inherited my mother's whole brain, because he can do that creative art and music and everything else, but he's in a very highly technical career now with IBM, doing technical support with, large corporation databases, and, it's
awesome.
beyond my comprehension. But so it's fun. It's fun to watch them grow up.
Every stage is fun.
It is.
I'm loving every minute of it. I'm just trying to embrace every minute of every stage, because I know it's going to go quick.
Right.
So I'm not sad that they're not 2 anymore. I'm just looking forward to that they're 3. I'm just living in the moment.
So what are they all going to be when they grow up now?
That's up to them.
But they haven't said, Mommy, I want to be a...
So Paisley wants to be a cowgirl.
Okay.
And Parker
I can hook her up.
Yeah, we're going to start lessons. Parker wants to be an entrepreneur. And
Nice.
Preston just voted that we have no more babies. So that's why we're not going for number 4, because he wants to be the baby. So that's all I got.
I like that. I wonder, when I grow up, I want to be the youngest.
Yeah, I
forever.
just want to be the baby. He's only 2, so he doesn't even know.
Yes.
If you could have lunch with somebody, dead or alive, or tea, who would that be?
I don't know. There's so many people I would love to
Right?
meet
There's
and
such
spend
a big
time with.
pond.
I don't know that
Is that one person that just stands out? Like, I would like to get them. I'd like to know them better. I'd like to ask them this.
I don't know that I can answer that,
That's okay.
honestly. I'll tell you one person that has nothing to do with world peace or anything like that. So when my son Dex was probably 9 months old, we were living in New Orleans, and the Leukemia Society down there every year, this fabulous event, it was called Breakfast with Champions. And so they had sport champions from tons of different sports. I mean, they had Tom Landry was there. They had, I'm trying to think of some of the names. Peyton Manning was there. He had just been named the National All-American High School Football Player, blah, blah, blah. So he was in high school, Peyton Manning in high school, right? But so there was a program, and it raised money. But then afterward, they had this huge autograph session. And so I have a picture of my 9-month-old son with high school Peyton Manning.
Aww.
So I'm not really a stalker mom or anything like that, but when Peyton was with the Colts and also with the Broncos, I have an 8x10 glossy of this picture, and I have mailed it to every route that I could find to have Peyton autograph it because I think it's so cool, right? And I always it comes back to me with some stock photo, with him throwing a football or something like that.
You're like,
autographed.
That's not what I
I'm
asked
like,
for.
this means something because we were living in New Orleans, and he's from New Orleans. I mean, there were just a lot of.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my son was born in New Orleans.
Okay.
Yes, and so anyway, so I think to answer your question,
Peyton Manning, will you please just autograph this
would
picture?
you please? And you would think my husband, being a football coach, could have some connections.
So what's it like being, a head football coaches, at a very big college, university? What's it like being his wife?
So the closest I've gotten to Peyton Manning, we're going to close this little topic right here.
You're going. She's not done with Peyton. She's like, Peyton, I'm still going to have lunch with you, so you'll sign my 8x10 glossy.
Hashtag Peyton, please sign. So when CSU Pueblo won the national championship, football championship, which was beyond exciting, and John just did an amazing job with his team. I mean, we came in as the underdogs. Nobody. I mean, even the broadcasters at the game weren't giving us 5 seconds of airtime. And then after halftime, when we were ahead, they started thinking maybe we should throw them a bone. But after we won the national championship, John got a handwritten note from Peyton basically congratulating him.
Oh.
So I said, okay, John, now you got an in. Hook me up.
Right.
And we haven't been able to make that happen.
No,
yet.
still no?
Still no. And I'm not going to,
You're
stalk
not giving
him or
up.
anything. I'm not,
Don't give up.
No. Hashtag Peyton, please sign this.
He's retired now. He hasn't taken
What else is he
ownership of the
doing?
Broncos
Right?
yet, so he's got time.
Right. But, to answer your question on being a coach's wife, I'll tell you, it's really a lot of fun. It is fun. I think what I love about it the most is on game day, people in the stands, they see the team, they're rooting for their team, and all they know is, did the quarterback make the connection with the receiver? Did defense intercept? They're looking at that. But knowing the backstory on the players, knowing situations at home, knowing those that are working a part-time job so that they can be on the team, they can afford, in Division II football, you don't get a full ride scholarship. So players need to, if they don't have the means, they need to look for opportunities to make money. And we've had players who have even worked during season because they've needed that source of income. It's changed over the years. The funny thing is, so John and I dated in college briefly. It was not this big romance, but so we knew each other. We went out a couple of times in college, but then we went our separate ways. And so he went on about his business, I went on about my business, and then we both ended up back in Pueblo, which is how we reconnected. But I'm glad that happened, because I don't know that I would have been really happy with my life not being able to develop my own career, my own path. When they started the program and John was hired back as the coach, I had an established career.
You made a name for yourself.
I'd made a name for myself. I literally had my dream job. So it worked. And in the coaching industry, you don't stay in one place very long. So a lot of coaches' wives are like teachers, or they're in the healthcare profession, or they do things from home. So no matter where they go, they can get a job. And there are others who are professional as well. But it's harder because you might be on the East Coast one year, and the next season, you're in Iowa, then you're down in New Mexico, then maybe up in Washington. So it's really hard for women to establish a career. Although now there's more and more opportunities for women to, working from home. There's more chances. I have a really good friend who has maintained a job through all sorts of moves because it's something she's been able to do remotely.
That's
long
awesome.
before COVID hit. So, there's a lot of opportunities there, but it's really funny how football, there really is just that routine. During the season, it actually starts in fall camp, you know where you're going to eat, what you're doing every single day. It's just, it's part of the routine. And something that we started early, I do an orphans dinner every Tuesday night, which is why we couldn't do this.
do the podcast
We
on
couldn't do the-
Tuesday, so that's why there was no podcast yesterday. But next week.
Correct. So, so all of the coaches that don't have a wife to go home to, or sometimes their wife still lives maybe where a previous job was in another state, and so they're an orphan in Pueblo because they don't have their family there, and we do a big dinner. And there is no dieting. There's no dieting on Tuesday nights. I don't think I can ever make enough food. If I make 2 big pans of chili, it's gone. It's just,
We have a lot of boys.
we have a lot of boys, and yet then there's traditions on what we eat. So
How many people show up to one of these orphanage dinners?
it depends. This season we're typically at about 10.
Okay.
About 10 total people, and it's fun. It's the day I get to eat some diet. What am I trying to
Kind of
say?
like a cheat meal.
It's a cheat meal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Monica Potter, who is the women's lacrosse coach, we call her the Martha Stewart of athletics because she shows up with some amazing dessert that she has created.
Wow,
So
Monica, I didn't know you had it in you.
she does.
Okay.
She has one that we call the unicorn because we haven't found anything better in the universe that tastes better. It's an ice cream kind of a dessert. Oh my gosh, it's
yummy.
fabulous. Yes. And the other part, so I have to throw in a shout out to my dad. We're all of us are so ingrained up at the university. So TK's president of the foundation.
Who gives scholarship to the football? I mean, you guys are
Right?
quite the family.
Yeah, it's like kind of incestuous almost. But, John being the coach, John, me, and my son all graduated, TK, from CSU Pueblo. My dad also did not have an opportunity to go to college, but and he's been in construction his whole life.
Okay.
So pretty much any building, any parking lot, my dad has been involved in the dirt work somewhere along the way.
Huh.
So there's a little bit of the Kellys and Wristons just about everywhere that university campus.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. It's
So you like
fun.
are you called Mama Wolf, right? Is that what's on the back of your shirt? What's it
Yeah. Actually, it was funny. Another wife gave me that name. Her name is Camille Nesbitt. Her husband used to be the head football coach at West Texas A&M. And so they're the Buffaloes, and so she was Mama Buff. And so when they came up here and played us one time, she started calling me Mama Wolf, and it just kind of stuck. So I am Mama Wolf.
I love it because I know we're going to see you every football game. You always kind of stop by and say hello to everybody, kind of like you're the mayor of the football team, but you're really just Mama Wolf,
I'm kind of just Mama Wolf. I have to find the mojo spot, which is why I'm a moving target.
Okay. You're like, this is a good spot. I'm not moving.
If I stand someplace too long and the team isn't doing well, I move.
There you
I
go.
might go sit with my parents. I might go up to the Turner Suite. I might be in the end zone, but I got to find the sweet spot where we're going to score some more. And then I'll stay there until we start not doing well again, and then I'm off. I'm off to find the sweet spot again.
How did you and John reconnect when you're both back in Pueblo? What was that like? I want to know that story.
So it's funny actually. It goes back to some of the things we've talked about. So he was hired. I think it was July 3rd. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, 2017, and 2 months later, our picture was in the paper with Fair Ladies. He saw my picture in the paper, and I ran into my brother and said, "Give me Rochelle's number," and the rest is history.
So did you go on a coffee date? Did you go have a steak at Roadhouse? What was it?
So it took me 3 weeks to call him back. I didn't call him back real
She
quick.
plays hard to get. I could see that.
No, because we'd, like I said, we'd started dating a little bit in college, and then he dumped me. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Oh. So you're like, no, I'm not calling you back.
Exactly. Who wants to go down that path again, right? So so it did. It took me a few weeks, and I did call him back because I thought, you know what, we're gonna run into each other in town, so we might as well be friends, whatever.
Right.
And so so we talked a few times, and no, we met for a beer.
Okay.
We're
at.
Actually, no, out at Cat's Poorhouse.
Oh, I love it. We go there. We were there last night for dinner, actually.
Yep. So,
And the rest was history. So, did you ever ask him, like, why did you dump me? Or why did you break up or whatever?
We've had that conversation.
Okay, that's private.
I look at it as he came out on the better end right now. So, cheers to that.
Cheers to that. I love it. So, how long have you guys been married now?
So we've actually been married.
Or together?
9 years.
9 years. Okay.
Yeah. 2012, we got married. So next year, double digits.
You guys are so cute, and I love Coach, and I love that you guys are together. Like, you just make a great team. Do you have one piece of marriage advice that makes your marriage work?
I think what makes any marriage work is respect and patience.
I've never heard of respect, and that is so true.
It is. I think it's just a lost art anymore, given the state of the world these days. But in a marriage, you can agree to disagree. You aren't going to do everything right. But if you respect the person, if you have patience, because you are two different human beings with two different backgrounds, two different attitudes, two different, just everything, we're a product of our environment, where we're from, and sometimes they don't always mesh. The biggest thing that I have to do is keep reminding John, especially during football season, that I'm not a player and I'm not a coach. So
hey, I'm your wife. Remember that,
right? Yeah. No. That's not the tone with me. Players, coaches, not your wife. But it's been fun. We've certainly done a lot of fun things that him being a coach, opportunities that has afforded us, and so it's been a fun ride, and I know we've got a lot more left to go. It was really funny because celebrating the breast cancer 1 year after the
So he didn't know you
surgery.
going through that.
No, he knew.
Oh, okay.
He knew. We were together then, but not as tight back then. And so the 1 year anniversary, Mom and Dad took John and I on a cruise, a weekend cruise, which was really fun. That was kind of our way to celebrate, and it was fun that he was in my life to do that, Mm-hmm. So we've done, we've had an opportunity to do some really neat things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they typically involve sports, but not always. We've had some fun trips to Vegas. And
what's your favorite thing to do with him?
Go to Mexico, lay on the beach, and do nothing.
And what's the most annoying thing that he does?
Well, where do I start? The most annoying thing. I think sometimes because he's a coach, and when you're a coach, you, especially the head coach, mm-hmm. right? You speak, you do with conviction. Right? Because you've got 150 guys mm-hmm. that they've got to follow you into battle every weekend, mm-hmm. right? So you might not be 100% right, but you're not going to let them know that, okay? And so I think the most annoying thing is that going back to, the arguments, it's putting that on the back burner. Like when you walk through the door at home, no, this is not the football field. This is not the coaching room. I think that's probably the annoying thing.
What would John say about you is your best quality?
I don't know.
What about the most annoying quality? What would John say about you is your most annoying quality?
Oh. So I think it annoys John that I have my own identity. Because, we're a product of our background and our environment, right? So I think that he's just unsure how to take it. Not that he doesn't support it, but realize this is a man who has coached for some major programs, CU, Northwestern. He was on, you know how they do the televised broadcast of the Heisman candidates, and they announce the Heisman winner. Well, he had the opportunity. There was a player at, I think it was Northwestern, and so he was this player's position coach. So he had the opportunity to talk about his player, on national television. And so, he's been the American Football Coaches Division II Coach of the Year. I mean, so he's highly respected, very well known on such a large stage. And so
Having Big Red, you're like, she's got it. But maybe that's what, he loved most about you too, is
that I'm independent.
Yeah, and you had it all together.
And I think that would be probably his answer. I can't speak for him. That'd be a really great question for you to ask him. I think you should. Let me know what he says.
What are you most proud about in your life? Like, what is your biggest accomplishment when you were like, I made it?
Gosh.
I mean, as much as I like to talk about Coach, I want to talk about you.
So let's see. I think there's been many things through my life that I've been proud of. Being a mom, that's just, you got to. I'm blessed with just an amazingly loving, wonderful son. He's the kind of guy that when he gives you a card for your birthday or Mother's Day or whatever, he number one, he finds the most appropriate card, and then he just writes the most amazing, loving messages in there, and so I'm like, okay, I must have done something right there. That's because he's just an amazing kid. Doing the high school rodeo queen and then I was second runner-up to the National High School Rodeo Queen.
Oh, wow.
But to me, that was something that had been in the making since I was a toddler, actually, a toddler. My grandparents, my mother's parents, were musicians, and they played in the State Fair Rodeo Band. So I grew up on the stage overlooking the bull chute, where the bull riders and the bronc riders and all that come out, and watching the girl in the arena, waving the queen. And I was like, I want to do that. And I didn't even have a horse at the time. But, so that was kind of something in the making. I think I'm the most proud of having a family that was just so supportive of anything that I did. If I wanted to take dance, they were like, okay, here's dance. I wanted to learn how to scuba dive. Why in Pueblo, Colorado? But,
hey, but you go to Mexico now.
I could. Yeah. I have no interest right now. Landing amazing jobs, the career path that I've had. Landing the position at St. Mary Corwin, that was my that was really my dream job. It really was, because it was the marketing, event planning, the public relations.
And you were so good at it.
Oh, thank
I
you.
remember I just started my advertising job at Lamar, and I was intimidated by you. Do you get that you're intimidating?
I don't think I'm intimidating at all.
No, not once you get to know her. She's just a sweet pea.
Thank you. But, getting involved with the Junior League, and I have to thank Benny Swanson for that, Dr. Swanson's wife.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, she's great. Yeah, she's a sustainer here in Pueblo. Dr. Swanson, longtime dentist in Pueblo. And the Pueblo Junior League used to have these follies. It was every 2 years, and so it was all Junior League members and their husbands, and it was like this Broadway production. They would bring in a director from Broadway. They would bring in the costumes, and it was singing and dancing and comedy.
Oh, how fun.
It was so much fun. But Benny said, you know what, you should be in the Junior League. And at the time, I was in Denver, and so she sponsored me, but I went in through the Denver League. And I think having that opportunity to connect with such amazing women was just, so it was not only connecting with amazing professional philanthropic women, but it was also having that opportunity to develop more of the philanthropic side, because in the Junior League you kind of give them your firstborn. It's right. Your time, your money, but they do powerful work in the community.
And I think the relationships you build, I mean, they last for a lifetime. There's even a Junior League event tonight. We should go have a glass of wine.
We should
after.
Except it's football season, and on Thursday night, it's dinner with John.
It's not Tuesday night.
No, but Thursday night is Texas Roadhouse.
Oh,
night.
See, I remember y'all coming in there all the time and seeing you. I say,
Wednesday night is the coach's show at Thunder Zone Pizza.
Okay.
Shout out to
you. Do have a schedule.
You do. So Sunday and Monday kind of low maintenance. Friday is the night before the game, and so our routine this year is pass key at home.
I love it.
So that's that, and then we have game day and.
You've had a lot of great successes in your life, Rochelle. What's been some obstacles that you've overcome that you're most proud of? Because I feel like those obstacles and those trying times in our life is sometimes what makes us.
It is. And sometimes obstacles cause you to re-navigate what you do. Again, I think things happen for a reason. Kind of like my, when I got into horses, my life plan was I was going to be a spokesperson for either Coors or Wrangler because I was going to be Miss Rodeo, whatever. And then I was going to go to work for the corporation, right? And towards the end of college, I completely got out of it. I sold my horses. I was like, okay, I'm done. But you have a sponsor. So you had to have a sponsor to be in the Miss Rodeo Colorado pageant. And so Otterstein and Company, who was the Coors distributor.
So they were here in this building?
Yes.
Did you know that?
Well, here, and then they went over off of Erie.
Okay, because I'm like, I know that name. We had Coors. I have the original bar still.
Yep. And here's the funny thing. So my mother used to babysit Audie.
My gosh.
See, this is Pueblo,
folks.
We
should have her come to the building. I'd love to have some stories, or if she has some pictures.
Right. However, so I hung up my spurs, said I'm done. Don't know what I'm doing next. At the same time, I switched my major out at USC. I was a business major before. I switched it to mass communications. And Audie called. He said, I need someone to be my campus rep here on campus. Do you want to do that? I said, wait, throw parties, get paid. Okay.
Dream job, check. First one, check.
That's it. So that was my first dream job. It was amazing. It was so much fun. And then from there, and then changing to mass communications, I had the sports writing internship at the Olympic Training Center, which was right before the '84 Olympics. So, some of, like, Evander Holyfield was training there right before the Olympics, some, really major athletes. And so you worked with them every day, like you lined up media interviews, so that was great. And then I got the job in Atlanta. And from there, I got it's really funny. So I worked for a beer company. Okay, so technically maybe encouraging people to imbibe. My next position was with a group called the Coffee Development Group. And you know the Milk Council, they say drink milk.
Oh, well, yeah.
The little milk
Right.
mustache,
Right,
remember
right,
that back
yeah.
in the day?
Yeah.
So this was the Coffee Development Group, and our job was to jumpstart coffee sales in the United States. And so we were actually funded by the International Coffee Fund in London because that's how poor coffee sales were. And this was back in the 80s.
Well, that's really changed till today.
Right. So
You're like,
I
I
don't
had
know.
part of that.
We kind of did. So in the 80s, when the drinking age was being raised to 21, so college campuses all over the country that had pubs, and because of the drinking age going up, the pubs were going dry. So we would go in and we would partner their food service, the university food service, with a specialty coffee provider. So, for example, I worked with Starbucks and the University of Washington long before Starbucks was on every street corner.
Oh, wow.
Which was really fun. But we would help them develop these gourmet coffee houses, which, really kind of jump-started the coffee sales. We had other areas as well, but I was in the young adult.
She's always been in marketing. You could tell she's just like a marketeer,
I've had great opportunities that just sort of presented themselves. And then from there, I got into Special Olympics and, working with kids and adults with disabilities and raising money for them, and just developing, looking for those cause-related marketing opportunities, and not just asking for a donation, but really looking for those cause-related marketing opportunities where it was really kind of a win-win-win. And being in a major market like Atlanta and New Orleans, just had the opportunity to work with the Saints and the Falcons and the Atlanta Hawks and the Atlanta Braves. And, I can't single out 1 minute or one specific because it all is just such great fun. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat.
I love it. What's something that nobody knows about you? Maybe John or your son knows. But what's a hidden secret?
I don't know. I'm pretty out there with my...
You're like, I'm an open book.
I kind of am an open book. Something that nobody knows.
Yeah, like I had somebody say they only used white towels, or... like something is... What's weird or different or funky that nobody knows about you? I want to know.
Gosh, I don't know.
Is your favorite color red?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I like red. But everybody pretty much knows that. It's my car, it's my hair. So
Right. It's just a given.
It's everything. I guess if I'm home alone, a lot of times, like I sing and dance. It just
What's like your go-to?
joy.
Like you're like, hey Alexa, play what song to sing and dance to?
I kind of span, I'm kind of an 80s and 90s kind of gal.
Absolutely. I play it all the time. I don't even know what they're playing now because I'm always playing, the good stuff.
Right? Like I don't know what you call it now, but like Will Smith.
Oh,
getting jiggy with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's my next song. Like if you had or my next question, no, my next song. If you had a song that like just represented you or like is your jam, what song would that be? You're like Will Smith.
I don't know. Kelly Clarkson, Miss Independent.
I think that'd
I
be
love
very
Pink.
good for you. Mm-hmm.
Pink. Those are powerful girl power kind
Aren't
of
they?
songs. Love that. Sometimes you just have to listen to something like that to just get you jazzed up and make you say, okay, today was a bad day, but you know what? Damn it, tomorrow's going to be better. I got this.
Absolutely. What's something you would go back and tell your younger self that you didn't know then? that you know now?
I think appreciating the opportunities more and working the opportunities more. I think if there's something that I could go back and maybe do a little bit differently, I had fun. I had a lot of fun. And I think sometimes I got wrapped up in the fun instead of really maximizing the opportunities. I think I still followed an amazing path. Again, I really wouldn't do much different. But I think if I did do anything different, I would look and take those opportunities more seriously. I think I could have done even more with it had I done that. But I was busy having fun. Girls just want to have fun.
Oh, amen.
There's my theme song.
Yeah, can you insert that song now, Ben? Oh, no? All right, then I'll move on to the question.
How about you?
What?
So what song would best represent you, do you think?
There's so many. I like big butts, and I cannot lie. Like, that's my karaoke jam, if I'm being honest. But, like, that represents me. I'm not settling for anything less than everything. So I've never settled in my life. You know, I've always just, I'll wait. I'll be patient until things go my way.
Right. And so how did a beautiful young blonde get from Texas Roadhouse to influential women and have an amazing husband and family? And I mean, talk about taking advantage of opportunities.
That's what I do. I take advantage of every opportunity. I mean, I think working at Texas Roadhouse, I had so many opportunities just from there. But I even worked there when I was teaching, and I would still be working there. But my husband said, no more waiting tables. So here we are doing a podcast, and I'm so thrilled because it's so fun to get to know women like you and just meet new people. I think life is about relationships.
Yes.
And everywhere you go in life, like those relationships help form either the next step in your life or maybe somebody else's. Like relationships is just key. Right. And I wouldn't have been able to do anything in my life without those relationships.
You know, and something I don't know, did you ever do an internship?
No, I did not, because I student taught because I was a teacher for 5 years.
Right. So, you know, for any young women out there who may be listening, you know, I'm a big believer in the internship. If you're in college, or you know what, if you want to get into nonprofit, if you want to pursue an area, volunteering or an internship is a phenomenal way to dip your toe in the water without the commitment.
I didn't even have to ask her the next question. She just went ahead and just answered. I was going to be like, what's the best advice you could give? And look at you. I'm just going to sit here. You just go ahead and...
Then I'll start interviewing you.
No.
Yes.
No, that's great advice.
You know,
dipping your toes.
It is. It's not only do you get the experience of whatever your position is, but you make contacts. You make contacts with people, your coworkers, supporters, people in the industry, you know, and it's okay. It's okay to work for free or for nominal money up front or for no money as a volunteer. When you plant those seeds and you stay in contact with people, it really is amazing how they can come back into your life over and over as you are building a career. Because we all kind of ebb and flow, and we move through careers and all of that. And so you never really know who you're going to bump back into along the way.
Like your husband?
Well, thank God for the Pueblo chieftain, right?